show that tackles the big issues affecting the BVI and the rest of the Caribbean. Searches for answers to today's big questions and gives viewers a unique perspective on developing stories. Follow the big story with me, Kathy Richards, only on JTV. This show is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Cyril B. Ramney Tertola Pier Park, NV Salon Spa Nail and Barbershop, HOV Medical, and Digicel. Sign up for Digicel Plus Home Light Bundles, faster internet, movies, and sports. This is The Big Story. I'm Kathy Richards. I want to thank you so much for joining us for this edition. In studio with us, we have two bishops. Bishop John Ivan Klein, who we're so familiar with, but we also have a new face on set today, Bishop Kenneth Hodge. We want to welcome you to the studio. And as you may very well know, that the territory of the Virgin Islands is one of a Christian background, foundation and life, and we have been hearing so many calls for us to do more as a Christian society, and here we have the two bishops to tell us what's going on. First of all, how are you guys?
Doing good. Yeah.
Doing good.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Same here. Today I appear with a different hat.
Not the very familiar one that we're, because
not the very familiar.
First, I would have been asking you how the country running. Yeah. How the country is running spiritually.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Well, I mean, in every situation, you need God at work. Yeah, and where the BVI is, we are seeing lots of things that triggers us to realize that there's more that has to be done, I think, from the Christian community, in terms of more prayers has to be going up, because we've seen lots of violence all over the place. A lot of things are telling us that there's more that has to be done by the body itself. And I think that starts with us coming together. And I think that's what we want to talk about this morning.
And do you think that foundation that was laid, that Christian foundation that was laid, is somewhat eroded, or it's downplayed a lot now?
Yeah, I said to the church on Sunday, and I've always, echoed this. What I'm about to say is that we are materially prosperous, but we have come to the place where we are spiritually bankrupt. And we have mistaken our success and our prosperity for godliness, and God is with us. God is with us, but we are not with Him. And so when I see this hit list of our children, they are us.
Right.
They represent what we have become and what we are. They're not outside of us. These are not anybody else's children. They are our children. When we look at the money boys, is it called the money gang or money boys?
Yeah.
They belong to us.
That's true.
They are our children. And it speaks volume to where we are spiritually. Because when we were growing up, and that foundation that you spoke about that has been eroded, there were some things we must do that reflect our Christian values. You had to go to church.
Yes.
You had to respect your elders. You had to respect authority. You couldn't just walk by somebody, and you had to honor your mother and your father. There's some things, fundamental things you had to do. Today, that is not where we are. So when we think about where the church is, and sometimes our fragmentation can serve as a disadvantage to our effectiveness. And so hence we had to do something, and this something where we're about to talk about is where we are.
As you speak there, the song just came back to me. I haven't heard it in a very long time, but it just came back. If we forget God, Satan will rule. If we forget God, a nation is doomed. It just came to my spirit as you talk, and that's where you see us heading.
Yes.
Yep. Very true words. Very true words.
Very
If we forget
true.
God, we're in trouble.
In trouble. In trouble.
What do you think are some of those factors that would have led to that eroding of that Christian value? Our kids not going to church as they used to, our young people not respecting elders and their own parents in society. Where did that erosion start?
I would say that when, another saying of mine, when church becomes an option for parents, it becomes irrelevant for their children. And it started when we believed that church and God and religion was an option. I don't have to do it. I do it at my own convenience. So if it's more convenient for me to go to the beach, I go there. Meantime, the children are not getting that foundation built. Our parents were, well, they weren't older, but they were more seasoned. Now you have younger parents, you have younger grandparents, and you have these young persons raising children with values that they don't know, or values that they do know, which is not godly. We want to give them every good thing.
Everything that we think are the good
Gucci,
things.
Yves Saint Laurent, Louis Vuitton, the chains,
You know how to pronounce it so
and all of that. I like to take them, but they're not. It doesn't make me who I am. And today's parents have take materialistic things and use it as a sign of their success. And I am not successful without God in my life. I don't care what I have. I've seen the rich, I've seen the poor. And I've seen rich people depressed. I've seen them commit suicide. I've seen them very unhappy. But I've seen one who doesn't have a lot of stuff, but is in God and is the most satisfied being you meet. So I believe it started in the homes. The church is a support system for the home. The church is a support system for the schools. So church is a support system for the community at large. We are the conscience of the nation and the watchdog of the society. But if you don't bring them to us, and if you don't let us in, then we have a generation that will be unrighteous and ungodly.
Just this morning.
I know growing up in Virgin Gorda, one of the things that was mandatory from your parents, even though if they weren't going, every Sunday morning you had to be in Sunday school. It wasn't expecting you. If you don't want to stay for church, that's a different story. But you have to be in Sunday school. And that's how we grew up, you know. And to me, even from the things that you learn at that stage, even though you might have gone this way or gone that way, those things came back and connected with you. There's a saying that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And later on, those same things came, I remember I learned that back then, you know. Now I understand what my mother was trying to teach me or tell me, that sort of thing. We've gone away, I believe, from that, and we need to pull it back together.
I tell my children all the time, I said, I prefer to give you what's in my head than what's in my hand. But many parents today give the children what's in their hand before they give them what's in their head or in their heart. Because if you know what's in my head and what's in my heart, I don't care where you go. You could live in Russia. You're going to do well.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes.
But if I just give you what's in my hand, in 2 or 3 years,
It could devalue, it could depreciate,
Yes.
it could go away. It's like a inspirational piece I was listening this morning. It just popped up as I was just scrolling, and it spoke to, I think it was Samuel L. Jackson, I can't remember if it was him, but he spoke about them as a group going out, a group of friends going out to an event, and this one friend, when he realized that he had forgotten his box with his jewelry, he did not go to the event anymore. And when they got back, they realized that he had his stuff overnight to him, and then would show them, oh, I am back. So now he's ready to go because he can put on his bling, he can put on the chain. So he felt like he's not worthy without these things. And I think that is what happens when we start to put a value, like you say, on the things that you give in the hand, and all those tongue that you talk, you talk about. Yeah. And I think that is where we need to replace the value. Yes, you can look beautiful without the most expensive thing.
Right.
I love my friends who say, oh, I go in and shop at a thrift. Complimented somebody the other day on set. And it was a really beautiful top. I paid $3 or something like that at a thrift shop.
Yeah.
And it looked like $500.
Yeah. You can't draw your identity from things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if that's where your identity lies, trust me, you just of all men most miserable, to borrow a quote from the Bible. We just can't draw identity from things. I draw my identity from my Creator.
That's true.
Because He told me I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. So when I walk around in a room, or whoever is in the room, I know who I am.
That's true.
Yeah.
I am a child of God, and I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I don't care how much money you have.
Exactly.
It really doesn't matter to me.
But some people would say to you, Bishop, you can safely say that because you know where your next meal is coming from. You know that your bank account looks good. You own this and you own that. And while you don't put it on a pedestal, you can comfortably say that you know who you are because you don't have the stresses that others have.
I would say this, and let Bishop can go. Before I had all that, I learned that. I learned what my value was. My mother instilled in me a certain value. Even though I grew up feeling less than my cousins who had more, she would always let us know. Now, I didn't take it on because I was walking by sight. But when I began to project and begin to, like Bishop had said, remember those things she had taught me. I was living in New Jersey. I used to drive by these expensive neighborhoods, and I'm like, one day.
You dreamt.
I'm projecting. I'm projecting. So I was there mentally and spiritually before I got there physically.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So my story growing up is like any other. You know, like we grew up poor.
You were about to say it.
Same thing. All of us. I mean, me, my family, everybody. You grew up poor, but your identity is not in your stuff. It is not in what you wear. Those things don't define you. Yeah. So I mean, I like stuff. Yeah. I like having stuff, right? Yeah. But as long as the stuff don't have me, I think that's what we're getting up to. The stuff begins to have us. Yeah. And the stuff is where our center goes to. So then the stuff then becomes our God. Yeah, and I think that's where the problem is. Yeah, you idolize your stuff. You talked about your friend. The person was talking about their friend. They had to go back to get the video that you watched to get their box of stuff, right? Because their stuff defines them. You know? So when you don't have your stuff, then who you are, you know. So I know who I am. Yeah? I'm a child of God, you know, and that's good enough for me. Yeah.
one other thing before we get to the event that's coming up.
Yes.
And this is all to lay the foundation for what.
Absolutely, I think it's
about to do.
important.
When we talk about the eroding of the Christian principle and values of the Virgin Islands, do you think it has a lot to do also with the growth in terms of numbers and the diverse peoples that we have here? Back in the days, the population was way less. It was more, for the lack of a better word, more indigenous. And so then it was easier said and done back then. Now you have an influx, a massive influx of people coming from all different parts of the world. That means different cultures, different norms, different practices, different preferences.
Right.
And that now is encapsulated into what you would have. So you are now only a fraction and not necessarily the largest fraction of your population and beliefs and culture, but it's now a bigger picture that you have to face. Can that be one of the many reasons that we have the situation that we're in?
Can I just say for that is that maybe in a minuscule way, but what I would say that is probably far more impactful is that in the age where we live, access to the world is easy through varying platforms. So you could have had 2 here or 3 here, but you have access to millions through your TikTok, your Instagram, all of these things. That's what influences the young people. Not those that are the melting pot that we have here. Yes, that may have some impact, but I think your greatest impact or what's changing or touching minds, is the access to the world that we wouldn't have had back then. You wouldn't have had that exposure back then. My exposure when I was younger, in terms of what we had access to the world, was missionaries coming to us and teaching us about God. That's what happened. That's what you saw when the influx was taking place. Now that we see the transitioning coming in from the different cultures here, I don't think that's as impactful as the access that you have on your phone and your computer to what's happening in the world. I think that's where minds are being changed and impacted.
My take is, I think, runs parallel with that. I believe that when we begin to sort of diversify as our culture diversify, now you would have had some impact. But my primary school principal was from St. Kitts, Theodore Skeet. My first pastor after we came out of the Methodist Church was from Nevis, Edric Jones. The people coming in to our community, our policemen a lot of them were from Antigua and other places. So you always had that mixture, and it did not erode our foundation. Because as a Caribbean people, we are one people, and we have a similar background. What I believe, however, is our cultural and national identity has been lost. So now new people coming in, they have nothing, no standard of what makes us BVI. We are known as a Christian community, sort of, but we don't really support it. When we were growing up, you could not have no backhoe walking on Sunday.
That's true.
You didn't see that stuff. You couldn't have Vajgara festival on Easter weekend. I believe that our cultural and national identity, our godly foundation has been eroded. So now when people come in, they just do what they see we do. They see us going to the beach on Sunday, they see us having party Sunday night, they just do because we don't have no standard anymore. We don't have that godly standard to support a Christian community. So, and then you add to that the influence that the young people are dealing with TikTok, Instagram, Facebook,
generally.
whoever, technology generally, and you have that, and we end up where we are now. All is not lost.
That's true.
And I believe that we are intentional about making a difference in this BVI.
So tell me about the intentional move that is going to be happening starting this weekend.
So, as you can see, Bishop Hodge has his laptop, so he gonna give you all of the technical stuff. John Klein like to shoot off the top of his head. It was something God put in my heart. Truly, it had to be God, because I wasn't looking for something to do. Right after leaving the senior pastor of New Life, but God put in my heart to bring together pastors, bishops, apostles, evangelists of like minds. And one may ask, because I heard it in my head, maybe in my spirit, what's the difference between the network, the alliance that we are launching on Sunday, versus a Christian council? This network, the Kingdom Global Alliance network, is not just BVI. It spreads throughout the Caribbean and the world. But what I would say in short, and then I'll let Bishop Ken tell you a little bit more in detail. But what I would say, we brought together like minds. Because some of the problems we have here, we have in St. Kitts. Some problems we have in Jamaica. Some problems we have in Africa. How can we together, as a Christian community based on the Word of God, and the inspiration and the new strategies that God will give us together, come up with ideas that will impact our world? And so we have come together. God gave me this, and it's not a new thing. There are different Christian network all over the place, right? So this is not new. This is just what I felt led to do. And these men and women that have come alongside and caught the vision to make up this network are integral part of, I believe, what will be a global impact. But we're going to start at home.
Okay, so tell us how this happens.
Like Bishop Klein was saying, it's just getting ready to be launched, yeah. But in terms of the whole idea of what we're trying to accomplish here, is that there are many needs that are out there in this community, in every community, that are similar to each other, yeah, as the bishop was saying, and we have to find different ways in which we can grow each other as a church, grow your congregation, grow those ministers and pastors within your congregation, so you can reach your communities and have a meaningful impact in your communities. Not just reach them to say, well, I'm going to reach you, and people have needs and those needs are not being met. So to train and equip people so that you can meet the needs, meaningfully meet the needs of your communities. So instead of just saying, okay, maybe we are raising funds from the church to do XYZ, let's teach the people how to build businesses, how to become entrepreneurs, yeah, and how to use those skills instead to meaningfully have an impact in where you are, so that kind of a different approach, instead of just saying, okay, we're just raising it by you, just collecting money from you and you and you and you, and that's how it's going to go. No, let me take you in a different path, yeah, wherein you can learn how it is to build businesses of your own, and then just be stronger that way, financially, right, spiritually, that kind of thing. Just helping others to grow and to just take you from where you are and take you to the next level. And that continual sense of networking, knowing each other and learning from each other as you grow, That's the whole idea of it, yeah, in a nutshell. Yeah.
So how that unfolds this weekend?
So we launched this weekend. And as Bishop has said, we are not just focused on a spiritual component. We are socio-economic, spiritual, global view. So we want to, within the network, also have a economic component that teaches people. Bishop here is an accountant, has worked for me in the past, and he helped businesses to see where they're wasting money, where they can make money, and so on and so forth, strengthening their business management stuff. You know me, I'm entrepreneurial. I can count, but not as well as he. He can. But whatever it is, you have an idea, you're struggling with a business, you don't know why, you're making money, but you can't keep it. Whatever, whether it's personal or individual or business-wise, that's a component of the network. And then, of course, there's a spiritual component. And then there's a social component. How do we help schools? How do we help our community and interact with those places that we know are doing their best to make BVI better? What happens this weekend, we launch that. So we have 2 churches in St. Kitts. We have the churches here. That's a part of the Alliance, the Global Alliance, the Kingdom Alliance Global Network. It's a Kingdom Alliance Global Network. So Bishop Hodge, Pastor Gregory Smith out of Virgin Gorda, Apostle George Rodney, pastors from St. Kitts, one pastor in Ghana, Prophet Israel. And we decided to keep it within, and of course, New Life. We decided to keep it small for now.
Okay.
Because there are other people who want to come in. I just don't want to go big to go big.
Okay.
Let us fine tune it, start small, and as we work out the kinks, then we can add more members. So there's even a member intake committee, subcommittee that will, see. We don't just want you to come in just to be a part of thing, right? We want you to meaningfully contribute to what's going on. So this weekend we launch. We start Saturday. And this is very important. Saturday, I think, is a tremendous impartation we will have. We have the dean of one of the most renowned seminaries in America, Dr. John Guns, who's coming in. And one of the things he wants to do, and this is one of the things with the network, is to introduce us, one, to the seminary, Dr. Samuel Proctor Seminary in Hampton, Virginia. And he wants to introduce the seminary, all the online courses. So we're inviting leaders, pastors, ministers. You could be Methodist, Baptist, Pentecost, wherever you are. If you want to sharpen your gift, your teaching gift or your calling in terms of ministry and leadership, we invite you to come out Saturday 10 to 2. And then
at New Life.
At New Life.
Yes.
Right? And then on Sunday at 4 is when the Alliance launches, and the BVI and the world will know, because we are streaming, that we are here, what we're about. There you will learn about the vision and the mission. We'll probably share some of that, because I think Bishop has that with him. We've shared some already in our talking. But this weekend is when all that will happen. We will have a very strategic alliance with the seminary to help build up, because all of us have all of us as pastors and bishops have other leaders under us. And we want to strengthen them. We don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. That's not how we are. We're not egotistical. If my preachers could preach better than me, God bless them. I thank you, God bless you. We all one. So we want to sharpen and help grow up our gifts spiritually. We want to grow numerically. We want to grow them in their business. So that's what's happening this week.
Awesome. So we're under the tyranny of
Right.
the clock
Yes,
right now.
sure.
So
Oh, we've been
quickly
talking that long.
Yeah, yes. We talk so much. So in a nutshell, what is it that one message you want people to know about this weekend?
About this weekend?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
particularly.
going to be a time where churches are coming together, to launch this Kingdom Alliance Global Network. Yeah, so we're inviting people to just come out on Saturday and on Sunday just to see what God is actually doing.
Okay, and if persons want to learn more before they actually come out there on Saturday, how can they reach out to you guys?
Don't
Don't be afraid to give out your number, you know.
No. It's already public. They can call New Life or text me if they have my number, but it's best if they call the church. We have a document, the bylaws. It's an incorporated nonprofit organization, so it's not just wishy-washy. We have Pastor Gregory Smith. He is the president of the nonprofit corporation. I think you're vice president, right?
Yep.
Bishop Ken Hodge is the vice president. I'm the chairman. And so you have a board that, and if they want all the information in terms of the vision and the mission and the makeup and what kind of bylaws we are guided by, we can email them
Awesome.
a copy of it so that they can see for themselves
Yes.
and decide whether or not this is something
something-
they want to be a part of.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
Thank you guys so much for following your heart, listening to the Holy Spirit, because He speaks to you guys as ministers. He speaks to all of us if we
Amen.
know how to listen.
Yes, he
Right.
does. He does. He does.
Right? If you know that this is
And it's all in getting that foundation to another level, and where cracks would have been made, we try to seal it up and
Seal
go
it
up.
up.
If we have to dig it up and replace it totally, that's what we're going to do in this spiritual world. Thank you so much for what you continue to do, and I trust that you also can be a part of that rebuilding of this Christian foundation here in the Virgin Islands. I'm Kathy Richards. Thank you so much for the pleasure of your time with us here on this edition of The Big Story.